21 Onyx Vintage Football. We'll be doing these for 79 bucks a box, ripped and shipped, or you can get two for 150. We got quite a few cases of these, so this is something that feel free to join in on, and let's hit these hard and heavy. So Trevor Lawrence was not one of the original signers in the checklist. So what their workaround that was that there's redemption cards, and I guess there's going to be memorabilia pieces that they, it's not like they necessarily have to have him for the signing in order to include him in the product. It just means his stuff will be maybe less frequent, but it'll be bigger. Maybe you'll have a full-size helmet or a football or something, a jersey, a mini helmet. I don't know what the specifics are, but they did say that they would randomly put in some Trevor Lawrence redemption cards in here. That way, everybody's covered, because they pretty much covered everybody else. They also included Eli Manning. I don't know why, but they did. And Justin Herbert. I definitely know why there. He's like the most sought-after guy. Oh, look, this is new. Not only do we have box designs on this, right? Usually the box design's pretty plain. Now they got an old-school looking football character there. I'm down with that. But the packs are no longer see-through. I don't know if that'll continue into the baseball or not, but I think that's pretty cool. And now we're going to see our first look at these cards. So we got Chuba Hubbard, a running back. And they've given these cards. It's funny, Leaf likes to put XRC for extended rookie card. They've actually got their own little rookie card symbol up here. So that's something new as well. Oh, they're going back to putting these in the middle. And Jalen Waddle, who went all the way up at number 6 for Miami, if I remember right. Tylan Wallace, that is a blue ink. And Marlon Tuipulotu, and that is a green ink. So blue is out of 400, all right, so deeper print run than some of the baseball ones we've seen, that they're at about 200, 275. Green is out of 50. So green is out of 50. Oops. That was the wrong card I sleeved. Huh. Well, it's going to get a sleeve anyway. But top loaded, I mean. There we go. All right. So there's box number 1 for you. Again, if anybody else is looking to grab one of these, it is $79 for one. And since this is the first day that we got them in, we'll do 2 for $150. Yeah, let's see what we got in the second box here. All right, we got Dylan Moses. Jermar Jefferson. Liam Eichenberg. And Jalen Phillips. So those are the 2 autographs there. So thank you, Jeremy. And anybody else looking to take a crack at the new Onyx Vintage? Again, 2 autos per box, 2 base cards, 79 for 1, 2 for 150. Don't have to hear whining anymore. So, yeah, well, was he a first rounder or a second rounder? I'm trying to remember. Jalen Phillips. Yes, he was the 18th pick. That's what it was. He was the 2nd pick for Miami, but they had more than one first. I'll show him again. I have 94 boxes left. So Tylan Wallace, Marlon Tuapitolu, and that was Tuapilotu, and that was a green. Liam Eichenberg, and Jalen Phillips. So, yeah, that's why I couldn't remember. He was a first rounder, but he was the 2nd pick for Miami. So they had 6 and they had 18. Yeah. And you know that was before the draft that these cards got packaged up, so irony. So anybody else looking to take a stab at these? I'll tell you what, I want to give you a little bit of a deeper look at the product. So I'm going to go over this Bowman break. All right, if nobody else is going to grab a box or two, then I guess I will. How does that sound? So, if it comes down to that. But let's talk about this one break first. 2021 Bowman Jumbo 2-box break. This is the 4th and final installment for the case. Diamondbacks are 30, Braves are 40, Cubs are 45, the Indians are 55, the Tigers are 55, Royals are 35, Marlins are 50, A's are 28, Phillies are 55. The Pirates are 45, the Padres are 50, Giants are 40, Rays are 40. This one's at 17. It's 3 teams away from being on standby. One person taking advantage of 3 teams or more getting 10% off. Not only do you get a discount, but you push this break into standby. Best bang for the buck teams right now. I feel I'm leaning towards the Diamondbacks, the Tigers, the Phillies, the Padres. There's probably a few teams I could go with next. Let me see. Let me look at the list here. I said the Phillies. Maybe the Indians would be next. So, yeah, we'll go with that. They got a few players. So, I guess I'm stepping up next. Somebody pick me two numbers from 1 to 7. The first two numbers I see, that's what it'll be. You can go one at a time so that I can maybe get it from two people. First two numbers I see from 1 to 7. And we'll open this up and even look a little further. All right, I got 7 and 3. It's a good thing I didn't have to go with 8 because it wasn't up there. I'd have to reach into the box to get number 8. All right, let's see how my luck's gonna be tonight. I like Onyx, so I don't mind getting a couple boxes of this. We've got Sage Surratt and Patrick Johnson. Numbered 4 out of 5. Cole Van Lanen, black ink. So that's numbered to 5. And somebody who was a top 5 draft pick, Kyle Pitts. Hey, my boxes weren't the Pitts. That's good. How many cards in the set? There are quite a few. I don't remember exactly how many. I put the checklist up earlier. I guess I can make a quick count. Let's see here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 45 and 35. So it looks like it's about 80, give or take. So a checklist of about 80. And it includes guys like Justin Fields, Devonta Smith, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, Patrick Surtain. It's really small print here. Zach Wilson, Justin Herbert, and Eli Manning are some veteran presence. Kyle Pitts. What else we got that I recognize? I'm probably missing some decent ones, but Trey Lance, Mac Jones. Yeah, the Pitts is an auto. It's just a redemption, so I gotta mail it in. I have another one. I got Dominguez. I still gotta mail into them. So it's within a year, right? See what my other box has in it. Do I get lucky 2 times? 2 times? I like the feel of the boxes too. They're a little more exciting than the baseball ones, I must say. Got a crease on this. We got Travis Etienne, Jeremiah Owosu Karamoa. Then we got Ben Skowronek out of Notre Dame, and Levi Onwuzurike. And both of these are blue. Trying to see. Yeah. Looks like they kind of got rolled a little bit when they got printed. I didn't see that as... Oh, I guess that is an issue on that one too. Unless that's just the card design. No. Maybe it is. I don't know. They all seem to have like a mark here, but it's all in the same place. So I wonder if that's just the way they're supposed to be. Yeah, I know Onyx is always very good with redemptions. The one thing that could change things right now is the fact that, you know, the pandemic makes it a little bit more difficult to get these signatures. But 0 notifications again. Yeah, believe me, I wish I could solve that. But so there's your first look at Onyx Vintage. Anybody else want to take a deeper look right now? Again, $79 for a box gets you 2 autographs. All right. Your basic parallel is the blue signature. That's print run of 400 for each card. Green is to 50. Red is to 25. Black is to 5. And hand numbered on the back, as we showed you a few moments ago. The other ones are not numbered. So top card we've pulled so far, it was a redemption, but Kyle Pitts. And then again, we did have a black signature, so that was out of 5. And the other first rounder that I recognized was Jalen Phillips. I don't think I saw anybody else that was a first rounder. And then we're looking to try to fill this Bowman break. All right, we're at 17. I mean, I'd be happy with 2 people grabbing 3 teams and getting the 23. I would do an afternoon break with that. Just gotta do that and get payments in. So if anybody's interested in Bowman, again, some very good players would still be available for these teams. If anybody wants me to do a Marc-Down breakdown on that, I got no problem with that either. 2 jumbo boxes. Diamondbacks are 30, Braves are 40, Cubs are 45, the Indians are 55, the Tigers are 55, Royals are 35, Marlins are 50, A's are 28, Phillies are 55, the Pirates are 45, the Padres are 50, the Giants are 40, the Rays are 40. Let's pull up the Bowman checklist and see what we have here that we'd be chasing after. 2020 Bowman draft. Here we go. Bowman. All right. I'm even going to copy and paste that into the chat stream so that you can see it the whole way through. And again, if anybody wants Onyx boxes, let me know, and we'll open those now. So Diamondbacks. You have Jefferson Espinal, Luis Frias, and Alec Thomas has a Scouts Top 100. Braves. Not much as far as prospects go. So you got Christian Pache with a Chrome rookie auto. And then he's also got a couple other insert autos. Ian Anderson has a Scouts Top 100 and Acuna with a 91 throwback. Cubbies. This is where you'll get some prospects. Ed Howard, Cole Franklin, Michael McAveen, Riley Thompson, and Andre Dawson on a 91 Bowman buyback. Indians. Angel Martinez, Jose Tena, and then the bigger prospect to look for is Gabriel Arias. Los Tigres. So for the Tigers, Casey Mize has a rookie auto. Adinso Reyes and Spencer Torkelson prospect autos. A lot on the insert side. So even though they're lower numbered, you have multiples of some major players here. Casey Mize has 3 different ones. Matt Manning has 1. Riley Green has 4. So does Spencer Torkelson. And Tariq Skubal has a Scouts Top 100. That's a lot there. I saw that they made a statement. I saw the post made by one of their higher-ups. Was it DJ Kazmarek? He's like the vice president of some sales and marketing or something like that for them. So I didn't read the statement because it like took itself off my app before. But yeah, that's what I read in the statement that was made the other day. So this is the official statement. Oh yeah, I did read this. Totally read this. So Target is doing its own thing. It's going to vary from store to store. It's also going to vary at Walmart. And they each have different vendors that they use. Although in some parts of the country, they might only use one. I've heard, discrepancies on that. But I mean, and I don't mean to insult the retail buyers. I don't. But it's not as a big of a deal as people make it out to be with the retail purchases. It's not. The volume is pretty decent on the retail side, but the dollar amount is how many freaking how many mega boxes do you have to sell to equal a box of Flawless? A lot more than there's going to be in one Target. Probably a lot more than there's going to be in a Target in a county. What do we see more of, hobby or retail products? Most products are leaning more towards hobby exclusive. So much gets beaten to death over and over about this point. Rampant speculation is really just whining. It really is. I'm sure some LCSs do that. And but Michael, here's the thing. There's a lot more scarcity than there was 25, 30 years ago. There is. There are numbers to back that. Um, it is, there's estimated numbers and there's official numbers that have come out about tops in the past. Tops is right now, and we're talking about, this has been a steady increase over the last 10 years. All right. They're probably still not producing 20% of what they produced of flagship at a time where the hobby was a lot slower. Because things were great until about the baseball strike. That's when things started to come down. And I'm sure they overproduced the hell out of 2000 tops. Yeah, because people post things that aren't true. That's the problem with social media nowadays. That's the problem with the regular media nowadays. A lot of things that are posted are bull. Mike, you don't understand though one thing. A lot of this retail product that is in the LCSs, do you know why it's in the LCSs? Local card store. I'm going to tell you what, it's not as much Target and Walmart stuff as you think. Yes, there is some going there. But the distributors, in order to keep your allocations, you have to order product. A lot of the hobby product is priced with no ability to make margin on it, to buy it from the distributor. All right, it's why I have no football allocations. Hold on. This was my Chronicles allocation. A guy who used to get 2 cases, 2 boxes. Oh, and you get the shitty hybrid too. You know what? I'm not even going to sell this to you guys because these are hit and miss. When you hit good. This is like a retail box to me. So I'm going to open this right now. How's about that? All right, we're going to get our first look at Chronicles football too. But there's no hits in this. So you've got to hit one of the key players and you got to hit a key card. All right? If we don't buy stuff like that, if we don't buy the retail, then we're getting 2 boxes. Doesn't matter that in, 2013, when nobody gave a crap about the entire draft class. Now, I did boycott 2013 football, all right? I bought some on clearance in 2014 when we opened up the store. But, you supported these guys for years, and then you get a bunch of sneakerheads and their Dogecoin money, all right? And they're giving them cases of shit, and they've done this for like 6 months. And they don't give those LCSs the time of day. All right, I'm not even talking about just me. I'm a breaker. I was getting a lot of product. The LCSs weren't ordering that much. I would, if I could get, I got 4 cases of Onyx football. But I'll eventually move it. I'm almost out of the Onyx stuff. I'm on my last case of 2020 vintage. All right, I think we brought 3 or 4 cases into that. Premium, I'm almost out of. I'm on the last case somewhere. Extended edition, I'm on the last case. We blew through Nimbus. My dumbass only ordered 2 cases of that. So speculation has become more important than performance, but performance still counts. Why? Because unlike cryptocurrency, it's not all speculation. Jonathan Taylor with the score update rookie. All right. This is hybrids, like I said, retail you can get good stuff out of. Hybrids, you can get good stuff out of. I didn't do too bad here. I got Jonathan Taylor on a clear. But the hobby stuff is where the money is always going to be. So, you know, again, I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't really think that the Target Walmart thing is as big as everybody makes it out to be on the hobby. All right. James Robinson. He's not bad. Oh, look at this. 18 out of 7. I should have sold this to one of you guys. See, now I feel like a jerk. Joe Burrow, number to 75, Crown Royale. I was just going to show there was no hits in here. There are hits in the 2 hobby boxes I got over there, though. Jalen Hurts. Got Joe Burrow. Well, this is kind of a shame here. This must have came off the machine bad. Look at that dinged up Josh Allen. That's not cool. That's garbage. It's not garbage. Trick or treat basket. He'll be fine. He's a young man. He'll bounce back. Alvin Kamara, Dak, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with a playoff acetate card. LaMichael Perrine. RG3 also repeatedly got his ass beat. Know what I'm saying? Antonio Gibson. No, I think Teddy Bridgewater came back from it. Did he end up being a star? He lost his opportunity. RG3 put himself in peril way too often. Teddy Bridgewater came back. Hell, Alex Smith came back. Just to play a year was an accomplishment. Phillip Rivers, Kyler Murray. Oh, look at that. Clear vision. Justin Herbert. That goes for something. Clear Vision was a product ahead of its time because it didn't really have any hits, and the rookie card wasn't as respected as it is now. We got Cam Akers. CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, the people who are getting maddest about this, and maybe some of the ones fueling the fire, are the ones that were getting all this stuff and they're getting busted and, you know, trying to take things out of back rooms. They're the ones that are bribing the guys filling up the shelves. They're the ones that are being told they can only get 1 box when they, you know, they had like carte blanche to do whatever they wanted. Probably bully people in the line and stuff like that. So we got a 12-box pick your team football mixer, and like it's just stuck at like 11 teams for like ever for life. Like I'm hoping we can move, because I can't get more football product if we don't even sell the one that we get. Oh yeah, employees were getting stuff. I mean, that's a known thing. Employees have been getting Hot Wheels and wrestling figures for years. So, Prism Black, that's kind of cool looking. I don't know. I mean, it's not a black finite, so it's not a 101, but it looks cool. Is this like their shot at Topps Chrome Black? Which I thought was an undervalued set for a while, and I still got like 3 cases of that laying around. Joshua Kelly with a clear. Darnell Mooney, 102 out of 199. Curtis Martin. Now for sale. So Jerry Jeudy. So as you can see here, the hybrids you really got to depend on. But this is the stuff that they're just dumping on us to buy at full retail price. Don't get me wrong. Like we just saw, you can get nice stuff out of these. It's true. But there's Brandon Ayuk, and this is a big but. You also know that it's not likely that it's going to go up a lot. So you buy it at full retail, because that's what they're selling it to you. They're selling to you the same, like a little bit cheaper maybe than blowout, but then you pay 2% for the credit card fee. All right. I don't have a store, so it comes to me. So I get charged 2 different handling fees. I mean, it's, oh, look at this. I'm seeing double. I'll take that. I'll take that mistake any day. 2 Justin Herbert rookies. You know what, Mike? There's 2 sides to that. All right. There's the side that the adults play, the save it for the kids, right? So, and again, I'm all about kids in the hobby. That's why we do the kids breaks when we're at the shows in Westchester and in Hofstra. All right. When I'm as a vendor there, I talk to the kid. I don't treat them like, oh God, they're going to go through my shit and they're going to ruin it. Like, I talk about, who do you like? And, who do you collect? And we talk a little bit, because, they don't get the same engagement that a lot of us 30, 40 somethings did when we were younger, because everybody collected and we all traded together. So, to have somebody who they can actually like talk to in person and not just through a device, that doesn't hurt either. But they're so happy with, we do the kids break and they get like a Mike Trout base card or a Fernando Tatis base card or a Ronald Acuna base card. You know, the majority of them, they're happy. It does not take much. You can get a kid into collecting with Big League, with Opening Day, hell, with Heritage. All right? I know it's $140 for a box, but you know, no one's entitled to have a whole box. They were 55 cents a pack, and we were lucky to get 3 packs when we were kids. And there's singles out there that you go to the National. By the way, a nice silver DeAndre Swift there. You go to the National and you go to the Breaker Pavilion and you hang out with me a little while. And then, even though that's a ton of fun, you do decide to walk around a little bit and you go to these other tables. There are stacks of base cards that people don't want them. Like like maybe now it might be different because we haven't had a national for a couple of years, but like people just leave stuff and the kids just go over and pick it clean. So Jalen Hurts legacy update. Tua. Yeah, a box is a lot. Like we think like, oh, kids should have boxes. Really? No. We got packs as a kid. One more Justin Herbert for me, and then DeAndre Swift. So anyway, but no hits. You get a bunch of Herberts like that, and it adds up. You don't always get a bunch of Herberts though. I got a little lucky. But the thing that keeps the kids interested is just the cards themselves. I mean, even I just said 2 minutes ago, like, I should just throw this away. And I said, no, I'm going to save this, for the trick-or-treaters. Because some 5-year-old kid is not going to care that corner's messed up. They're going to be like, oh, this guy's good. He's on my daddy's fantasy team. Yes, but what did you buy? Did you buy overproduced stuff? See, that's the thing. Everybody online wants to whine about something wrong with the hobby when the thing that's wrong with the hobby is the whining. Because you complain that you don't get anything for your money, but then you also complain that everything's mass-produced, even though it's not compared to back then. You complain the stuff from back then is not worth enough. Why do we pay so much money for some Jason Dominguez kid that's never even played a professional game, which now that's actually he has, I think. I'm not 100% sure. But where Ken Griffey Jr. rookie doesn't go for much. And I'm not talking about the upper deck one. I'm talking about the Tops or the Donruss. Or not the rated rookie. But the 1991, why doesn't that get anything? There's a reason. There's 400 million of those. Yes, and there's a reason why that box costs so much more. The reason being is if you knew that you could get a $100 box of cards and 75% of the time you would get more than that $100 back, eventually somebody is going to be like, why aren't I charging more for the box? That's what happened. We were willing to pay more for the cards. All right, we've talked about this before too. You have different pockets in this hobby. You have people who like to break open wax, right? People who like to get into breaks. You have people who are just strictly buy the singles. You have people who are like obnoxiously intent on grading every single freaking card they have, backlogging PSA for over a year. All right. And they all operate on different scales. And what happened was the box prices went up a little bit because certain cards were getting more money. Then all the cards were starting to get a little more money. Then all the graded cards were starting to get a lot more money. And I've seen vintage people say, oh, that card's raw. You can't charge me based on the condition you think it is. Well, actually, they can. It's a free market. I mean, it's not something I've done a lot, but I've done it. If I think a card is, vintage is not going to be a 10 out of the pack usually, but even modern stuff, you see a card and it's gorgeous. All right. And they're digging through your box and they pull out 4 of them and they put 2 back. Guess what? They've already priced out those cards because they don't feel like they're the condition. So why can't you do the same? If the comps on I'll use a real example. I had Josh Allen Prisms. All right, not enough buyers for the Bills when we were doing, when we used to have 4 cases of Prism, right? And the going rate was $10. They're like, well, I don't want to buy it at full eBay price. I'll give you $5 for them. But just the 2 that look like 10s. No, you can give me 10 for them because you're going to sell them for like $80 anyway. People have lost sight of what their goals are as a collector because of people who have no intention on collecting whatsoever. There are too many people that have zero commitment to this hobby. They're just jumping in and they're riding the wave until the dip, or they're flying it to the moon. Guess what? If people can make a fortune off of cryptocurrency, which has nothing behind it, all right? When you hear people talk about Dogecoin, it was made as a joke in 2013. And the people who had lots of it in 2013 and kept it till now are laughing all the way to the bank. But with cards, you have a second dynamic. All right? It's not just about hype. The hype ends when the season begins, and then you have verifiable statistics to go along with the hype. And statistics can make a card rise. When you have a guy like Mike Trout or Acuna or Soto, all right, why have their cards skyrocketed? Tatis, they have the combination of numbers and hype. And when you add the 2 of those together, that is the explosion that has happened. And then you get people who started collecting in 1975, getting all crotchety, because they've been crotchety since 1975. I know, I've seen them at card shows. All right. I've done shows, and the first flea market I ever did selling cards at, I was 12 years old. And people thought that because there was a 12-year-old behind the table that they were going to run the show, and they're like, oh, okay, this guy knows as much as I do. I knew more. Shh, don't tell him that, because then they'll have something else to complain about. I don't have a problem with the way Topps has handled it. Huge problem the way Panini has handled it. Because they have taken advantage, and again, do I have anything verifiable? No, but there seems to be a very close relationship between the price Panini puts out for a product, not the suggested retail price, I'm talking about the one that they slap on their website. And there's a correlation between that and what the big major card seller websites put out. Has anybody ever picked up on that? I mean, I'm not even going as far to allege that there may be some sort of relationship between the two numbers. But if the thought doesn't cross your mind, you're a fool. Yes, you did get some nice Tatis cards. And now look at what, I did a series of breaks. I bought a case just to do a special series of breaks of 2019 Topps Chrome Jumbo. All right? The boxes were going for like $600 at the time. And I said, this is one that's going to blow up. And we never finished a series of breaks. There was not enough interest. I tried to do it as a random team. I guess, I don't know. Everybody else can fill random team breaks. I don't know why we have such an issue with it. But those boxes now, the distributors sell them for like 14 and change. I can make money off that box because I bought it last year. If I wanted to say, oh, let's do a 2019 Topps Chrome break, I couldn't make $50 off of selling that box, and I'd have to put $1,500 in. That is a terrible, terrible margin. You got to understand, though, that for everything that's going on here, all right, there is still value to be had in the boxes. I think these are going to go for like 800 plus a box when the season kicks back in. And a lot of times when box prices fall down a little bit, it's not because they're less valuable. If anything, it may be because they're a little bit more valuable. And you can say, well, why would the big guys lower the price to something that's more valuable? Well, they're not planning on selling a lot of it. They're planning on buying a lot of it. And a lot of the times now, these boxes, depending on the set, All right. And this is also partially why I think baseball has a little bit better affordability right now than football, definitely than basketball. Hockey really isn't too crazy. Hockey, Upper Deck keeps hockey consistent, I feel. Young gun market obviously up. PSA 10 Young Guns definitely up, but it's not the Wild West. But the reason why there's a little bit more affordability in baseball is simply because I don't think the 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 mentality of the baseball card collector. I think there's a lot more OGs in that realm, and everything doesn't have to be graded. All right, football, like I got a hit, I gotta grade it. I got another hit, I gotta grade it. I gotta get rid of it now because in 3 years that running back nobody's gonna care about. I gotta stock up on all the quarterbacks I can because in 15 years he may be the next Tom Brady. Does anybody notice like the correlation in price to position? All right. We really pay for quarterbacks. There's a lot of good wide receivers out there the last 3 years. A lot of good wide receivers. But again, performance and speculation. There's a lot of good wide receivers, but what Jerry Rice card gets you as much as that Tom Brady contenders? The answer is really none. Although, I mean, technically, how hard were the Jerry Rices to get? So do we really have a... But the Joe Montana rookie, well, yeah. Okay, that's a level comparison. So, there's a lot of things to take into it. And again, you don't have a lot of guys who collected football cards in the 60s and 70s compared to the amount of those who collected baseball cards in the 60s and 70s. So it's just it's different. I feel like there's a different mentality. And Jerry Rice is the best wide receiver who ever played. And if guys like Justin Jefferson can even come close to that, again, I don't even think beating his yard total or his reception total is going to be as big of a deal because the game is a hell of a lot different now than it was back then. Yeah, we've pulled a Patrick Mahomes that at today's prices could buy somebody a house, so maybe. Especially that Contenders ticket stub. So that is a really good point there. 10 million cards coming back onto the market. Do I think the prices aren't going to dive down? All right. I think you guys find me very knowledgeable, so you're going to find this answer kind of weird for me. All right? And if anybody says a different answer than what I'm going to tell you, I think they're full of crap. The answer to 10 million cards coming back into the market, do I think prices are going to dive down? I don't think there's any way to tell right now. But wait, it's simple supply and demand. There's going to be a supply of 10 million more. 10 million more. Of course prices are going to come down. No, not necessarily. What are the 10 million cards? Look, Topps flagship numbers are down way compared to what they used to print them at. And it used to be there's only like a few different ways to get them. Rack packs, right? Vendor boxes sometimes, complete sets. But usually it was just a standard old wax packs in a box. Now we've got all kinds of weird stuff. We've got Topps United Kingdom. I don't know if everybody knew that. All right. Numbers were even less 10 years ago. But there were still a lot of them made for flagship. Yet the 2011 Mike Trout Topps update, so help me God, I bought like 500 Mike Trout rookies, probably 250 of them were Topps, maybe 300 of them, at 75 cents a piece 10 years ago. PSA 9s are now going for like what? I don't know what they're going for today. This is a very volatile market here, but I've seen them going for over, I believe, 1,500. Am I in the 15 to 1,700 range for a 9? We pulled a 9 in January, and around then they were going for between 900 and 1,100. Do I think that if out of those 10 million cards, all right, 10 million's a lot. And let's face it, basketball, like everything's getting graded from 2019-20. We don't have to worry about LaMelo Ball and whoever and Anthony Edwards and, well, there's nobody else in the draft class that anybody gives a rat's ass about, but we don't have to worry about those guys because that's not really the number that's being held up. It's the Zions and the Joss, right? That might come down. Might. That's not even a guarantee. That might come down. Luka's not coming down. Luka has established a foothold. Zion, people still think he could be achy breaky. John Morant, people still want to see more. Look, I'm not a huge grading guy. All right, when we do submissions, we have never submitted over 100 cards in one shot. It's a part of the hobby now, so you have to have graded stuff. Me, I have to have graded stuff because it's, you know, when you're in sales, you got to sell what people want to see. All right. I love this hobby. I'm passionate about it. I study it. I eat, sleep, breathe it some days, right? Doesn't mean I agree with everything that's going on. You know? I only got one box of National Treasures in. So I got to price it at full market value because otherwise, you know, if Blowout can sell one box at that price, well, then my goal is to sell one box at that price. And they sell tons. Well, it's my job. I have to. And not just the hobby, but I mean, you know, I spend a lot of time reading sports articles. Best thing, what was it? I think it's T-Mobile Tuesdays, because T-Mobile bought Sprint out, and one of the gifts was a year subscription to The Athletic. There's some good articles on there. It's actually worth paying for, believe it or not. But condition always matters. It's just in vintage, there's a big difference between a 7, an 8, and a 9. In modern, if you want to maximize your potential, you got to have that gem mint. Got to have that gem mint. And I don't know. Do I think that there's a lot of mistakes made by new companies like HGA? Yeah. But it's easier to overlook when PSA makes the same exact mistake. They all make mistakes because they're human. And because they're human, they're going to have different views. So that's why people crack and resub the card and hope that they get somebody else who has a different opinion on the card when they don't like the grade. Well, the vintage, it's a little harder to catch trim cards. You know why? The instruments weren't precise. I had the problem, a card that I pulled out of the pack did not fit into the card holder. And I would find, years later after I sold the card that was actually a common problem with the 89 Upper Deck Griffey. And that it's slightly miscut a lot of the time. All right. I was having a conversation today about Game Changer. Game Changer is an app you use to score games. So we'll use it like to score softball games for these girls, right? The information you get out of it is only good as the person using it. When somebody gets hits the ball, I should say, and it smacks the fielder in the glove and flies off, and they get 3 bases, that's not a triple, it's a 3-base error. But yet you can have 2 different pairs of eyes on the same exact thing, and they'll be like, oh, that was such a nice triple. Way to go. And I'll be like, all right, well, that was a 3-base error. So, hey, it brought in a run eventually, and it was good, good that your team was able to take advantage of that. But your batting average ain't going up because of it. Yeah, mistakes are still made on that stuff, though. Let's just put it this way. You got to put it perfectly centered in the scanner in order to get the perfectly centered results, right? It shifts just a little bit because you shake your hand. I don't know. I don't have a disagreement there. If you're a distributor, you shouldn't be retailing. The thing is, this isn't like food where it's a necessity, and it's a collectible and it's highly volatile. So I had always, and it may actually be true, but everyone's blowing it off right now because everyone's breaking the rules. But I was under the impression that they had to give a certain percentage of the product out. Now, I don't know whether that varies by product, meaning they could just be like, well, we'll give out 98% of the cheap stuff, and then that way, if 10% is our allowance, we can keep 70% of the expensive stuff. That, they may be able to make that slide. They may be able to justify giving somebody else a higher allocation with the unintended consequence of that person saying, well, I didn't really need that much, so I'm just going to sell you a certain amount of it back at a slight profit because you have given me so much. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I don't think that they're going to do anything that's going to jeopardize their contract. But I always found it interesting before everything exploded. Oh, I know they hold cases. Certain ones have reps that will talk to certain people, and they will be upfront with them about it, of what the deal is. I'm not. I'm not. I guess I'm not on the cool list with mine, and they don't. They don't be like, look, this is what you really have to do, because they're like, you got to buy more stuff. I'm not a freaking idiot. I've seen somebody spend $1 million in a quarter, and they still got their shit cut. Like, cut. And I'm not quite $1 million man, so. Not definitely not $1 million man. I wish. Otherwise, I'd definitely be in the shop right now. Right? We're still in the kitchen phase here. So I know that if I do spend money with them, rather than say with like a middle person, who it's going to be of no benefit to me to buy boxes from them, other than the sole reason that I could actually make money off of them. Isn't that weird that I got to phrase it that way? But yeah, it won't help my allocations. It'll help their allocations. but, you know, that's just the way the business is right now. And I made my decision last year, and I was buying things from people rather than predators. And now I'm dealing with getting one box here, 2 box there on football. So now now baseball, on the other hand, is not out of control to the point where you can't get your value back on boxes at a much higher rate than football cards, in my opinion. All right. So I did buy Bowman Draft off the distributor, off the shelf, when they were like $300 a box, knowing eventually that they were going to be $400 or $500. I just had to hold on to them. I just don't have the deep pockets that some of these guys in the hobby do, to hold on to that much stuff for that long. No, this haircut, this was $12. But yeah, and I have different problems than other guys. Facebook has totally cut me from being able to advertise. All right. My reach, the numbers are just astronomical, how far down my reach is compared to what it was a few years ago. So you got people who are just jumping on the board here, getting their stuff off the shelves from Target, and they may be moving more product than I am right now. All right, I am not happy about a lot of things the last 8 months. Instagram is part of Facebook, and the advertising deal is kind of connected. I haven't had luck engaging on Twitter. Part of the issue is I don't know what the rules of engagement are, because in this hobby we have so many unwritten rules that we're supposed to follow. Yeah, they're and I don't know if government regulation's the answer, because the government ain't exactly I'm not even gonna go there, but there's just, they can do whatever they want for no reason and have no recourse. And I have seriously brought this up. So here's what I don't understand. They're trying to crack down on like the gambling and the razzing and all that stuff. All right. And illegitimate business practices. Yet you go to sponsored links and they're selling boxes of Prism for $100. You know that no one's going to get a box of Prism for $100, right? Other people have no problem advertising, though. Why do I? Matter of fact, you ever see guys put on videos and they say, we don't own the rights to this music, and they are blasting, you know, freaking Rage Against the Machine and Metallica and, you know, whatever, 50 Cent doing their breaks, they're jamming out, right? Meanwhile, something is faintly heard in the background, and I'm getting, Universal said, screw you, you got to take your video down. But wait a minute. Somebody else is totally uninterrupted with their business. They're playing things that they don't own the rights to, like deliberately to enhance the experience for their thing. And I've got somebody just like watching something in the other room, and you can hear 16 seconds of it, and your video is either getting muted partially or taken down. My videos get taken. Why is it because I'm Hispanic? My parents came to this country from South America, so I am therefore not cool enough to make money off of Facebook like everybody else. No, that's probably what somebody else would make up, but I mean, seriously, why am I getting the crap end of the stick and there's no recourse? There's no person to talk to. There's no decision maker to appeal to. It's garbage, and I can't do anything about it. It's not race, because I'm white Hispanic. I just don't know anybody, no reparations. Oh, and I'm sure that's got a little bit to do with it. PayPal just shutting down random people's account because they're affiliated with people. That's why I'm almost kind of glad in a way, like that those of you who are my core, because we don't do the razzes, we don't do the minis, we don't do the gambling stuff. Technically, fantasy sports are against Facebook, although we don't do fantasy sports. Like, we just do a fun little league and we give out gift certificates. I mean, we've done stuff for charity on here for goodness sakes. So everything that we do, somebody's going to get something. Nobody's gambling. There's risk involved, just like with any other collectible, but, you can go to the store and buy this too. This is legitimate business enterprise, not mixed in with all the other stuff. None of those guys get their shit shut down. And I'm talking like even some of the straight shoot, like legit guys that they don't do minis at all. They straight fill. Yeah, but they'll still do 30 teams for National Treasures. And guess what? There's only 32 cards in the case, and every team ain't getting one. None of my breaks are designed with the intention of somebody getting nothing. It has maybe happened 7 times, and all 7 times I gave something else in return. Shoot, I gave somebody a $50 team set once. They had a spot in a break that produced nothing. It was actually the re-break. It was one of the random division football breaks. All right, so I said, fair compensation. I got these Donruss team sets. Of course, they're going to say the Chargers, and I gave them a team set. The Chargers one goes for about 15. I think the Bengals goes for like 25 or 30, and the Dolphins go for like 10 or 15 bucks. And you know what? Here's the thing, though. I actually have looked, because I have my Facebook Marketplace revoked. I actually looked at the whole terms of service thing. And I am actually in violation of 0 things there. And they still deny my requests. And if they want to group me in with the one thing that I think they are, and that's the gambling thing, they can't, because it's not. Plain and simple. So they can't, but they are. And I always look to not only, it's not just about profit for me. I've always looked to inform people. All right, it was a lot of, when we did have reach, it was a lot of new collectors. You don't think that I could be finding new collectors to jump in on this bandwagon and we could be cranking out case after case after case? But I have no reach anymore. I was reaching 125 to 200,000 timelines a week. A week. We reach like 1,000 a month now. You know, 600 in a week. You know, when you condense it and you get rid of duplication, the number goes down. But like, we have recent numbers, 623. We got it back up to about 1,000 in a week now that we started broadcasting the videos off the page again. The reason why we stopped, plain and simple, was because they wouldn't let us. Remember the lag, and it would stop working all the time. It was intermittent. All right, something was blocking us to be able to do it. Yet now it works clear as day. So the whole, yeah, and you know what? I also, my advertisements, I don't want to say broke the Facebook algorithm, but you could always get like metrics data off of it, and my advertisements performed better than 95% of similarly done advertisements. All right? So I had the algorithm figured out, and I wonder if they just didn't like that, because when I was getting a large reach, there are some things that you were able to do with the advertisements then by customizing that you can't do now. So I wonder, you know, they're like, oh, this guy's is onto something here. We're gonna fix that because he's paying less money per engagement than anybody else. You know, average cost of engagement, I think, was like around 7 or 8 cents a piece, and I was getting some ads that were 1 or 2 cents a piece. So, yeah, well, we stopped broadcasting off the page, and we started broadcasting off my timeline. And now we flip back to the page because it won't let me go through on my timeline. It keeps saying that I don't have the proper credentials or something like that, even though it's my timeline. So do I need a hi, hello, my name is badge? Oh, wait, I have that. Anyways. So what are you going to do? I always use them internally anyway. I always thought that the engagement increased, and this is why I type the things the way that I do. This is why it's really important. You see a break posted. The best thing that you can do for me is type on the post the team that you want and do it one at a time, because the more times that there's engagement on a post, the higher it goes up on their algorithm. And then in response to somebody claiming teams, I usually post a GIF, because if you have different types of engagement, that can actually, I don't know if it still does, but in the past, it's actually been a way to, I guess, kind of increase your, excuse me, your ability to be seen. Well, this is the best advice I can give you, is you can't let it bother you. You can't let it ruin what you enjoy. Things get more expensive. Okay. I just value being able to do it as much as I can. People are obnoxious about it. You know, we again, I'm not one of those guys who buys into all these unwritten rules that people have. All right. I have, and still to this day, I'm very against when people just kind of go into a group and pick people's names. I've been poached many times before. It's not something that I would ever do. But you use the tools that are given to you for such a purpose. All right. Like Facebook has the recommended friends, right? You ever notice that? And then you get a new friend and it changes who your recommended friends are on that list, right? So in 29, and this is why 2020 started out so great. Again, things changed with the algorithms, but so what I did was I would just make a few random friend requests. Now, I made sure that it was somebody in the hobby. At this point in 2019, when I had like, I don't know, 1,800 people on my friends list, it's like I'm not just, creating an account and like just cold calling or cold friending people. It's like there's people there that they have, 150 common friends. All right, well, this is obviously somebody in the hobby. All right. So, and that increased the amount of people that could see when we were doing videos. It's why I kind of just go live and talk about teams being available and stuff like that. Because even though my posts were getting crushed, I was able to expand the amount of people that were able to see the videos. So my friend list went to about, 3,700. Then the pandemic happened and they, I'll tell you what, they cut so much stuff out of the filters. and there was so much visibility, and we were killing it. And then Facebook decided, well, now we're deep enough into the pandemic where everyone's getting their free money and their unemployment benefits. So now we can cut all that out. And then I've noticed that having all that extra people on the list, like you got people who just they're all they do is just like repost things and like political things and things like that, and I'm just like, yeah, well, I'm kind of done with this. So I think I've like downsized by like about 400 over the last 8 months, because that direction wasn't working, and they changed the algorithm to like the last 25 people that you had a contact with can see something. Well, we depended on having like 100 people interacting with us in a given week in order to make the breaks going good. 25 doesn't do much good, because then there's a lot of people getting cut out, and people who were getting notifications weren't getting any anymore. But I mean, this, and we're going to bring the conversation back around full circle. So you have hobby versus retail. All right. Hobby still owns the big share of the pie. It's kind of like the ones who are complaining the loudest, right, know nothing about the actual business aspect behind this. They don't understand. All right. I somebody was very interested in a perspective that I had on a post, because I used to work in retail. All right. I worked for supermarkets. I was in charge of a convenience store. So when I was a convenience store manager, all right, they did a promotion, I think it was like 2013, where this chain store, right, normally, you know, those like racks of sport stuff, like, you know, totally useless crap that you have to buy when you see it, lanyards and wallets and shot glasses and keychains and stuff like that. So there was a vendor that would, you know, you would buy the different packages from them, and they would give you just a clean setup, and you just stuck it on the end on an end cap or on a special rack, and there you go. And that's money. And every bit of that was returnable. So if you didn't sell it, then you would just send it back for credit. Beautiful program. Okay. They did a program where, and eventually it even, like I had 2014 baseball cards. We had Series 1, but the program got, well, we'll go into that in a minute. So the program started. We have 2 items that we're going to offer you. I think it was the first series of Teeny Mates. They still make those. Little football, like, caricature type figures, right? Little figures, blind bags. And Garbage Pail Kids cards were coming back. And you could buy the boxes there. And I was just like, oh, let's give this a shot. I like this idea. So I bought the first fill. All right. I think you had to get 1 shipper of Teeny Mates and 2 boxes of Garbage Pail Kids cards. Okay. Teeny Mates sold out pretty quickly, but the Garbage Pail Kids were gone like that. And I had, like, no lie, like at least 5 people be like, when are you getting more? It's like, oh, okay. So I called up the sales rep, and I was like, yeah, I'm already out of the Garbage Pail Kids cards. How about we do 4 boxes? Do I have to buy the Teeny Mates? You already bought the Teeny Mates. Just you can have the boxes. I didn't care. You can have the box of Garbage Pail Kids cards. Within a month and a half. All right, we've now gone through, like, I would say probably half a case, so 10 boxes. All right, I'm like, this has been great. So there was a spot on our counter that they always made us put candy on it, and every time that we put it there, the chocolate would melt. And it's right by the window, right by the register. So I'm like, it's stupid that we keep having to put chocolate there. So I put the Garbage Pail Kids there. Oh my God, my manager had a fit. I was the manager, my district manager, whatever you want to call it. She didn't like me anyway because I wasn't in the military, and she was, and she had a manager all picked out that had a military background that was going to run the store, and they really didn't want to be in that neighborhood because it was a far travel for them, and I lived in like 10 minutes drive of there. So I ended up getting the store, and she hated me. She saw the Garbage Pail Kids cards and said, "What the heck are they doing on my counter?" And I was like, "We always get complaints of melted chocolate there. So we put that there." And she's like, "You need to get rid of that." Well, I like to make decisions based on science. So, Dr. Fauci, I am not. I like to make decisions off of real information. So, I went to the bank and I printed a report. I forget whether it was 12 feet or 16 feet worth of shelf space, like actual shelf space, not a shelf, but 6 shelves, 4 4-foot sections, I think it was. And I showed her how much money we made off of that. And then I printed out the 2 items because it was the only 2 items in the category. And how much money we made off of that. We made like $0 in it was maybe like $80 in sales. Meanwhile, I had a 4-figure number from what we were selling from those 2 items. She looks at the thing and she said, 16 freaking % gross profit. She took the cards off the counter and threw them across my office. Needless to say, I still sold the things, but I kept them under the counter when she was expected to come for a visit, which unfortunately she lived right down the road from the store, so it was way too often. She was concerned about one product's gross profit because that's all she cared about was gross profit. And our store made more money than any other of the new stores that they had. It was a new store. They eventually sold them all, but, they were just looking at, like, the new stores in one category. We made more money in sales than any other new store not in a high-traffic urban area. So we were, like, number 3 out of, like, 30-something. But our gross profit wasn't number 1, and she was always number 1 in gross profit. Well, I told her I could change that. We could stop selling cigarettes, but we wouldn't be making any money. This store would close. She cared more about a percentage than dollars. Because that's what her boss always complimented her on. "Oh, you have such great gross profit." Great. We have 12 feet of shelf, and the only fucking item that we sell off of that is ramen noodles But they're 45% gross profit, and we sold 160 packages in 6 weeks. That's amazing. Idiot. Does anybody else see why I decided to go into business for myself? So yeah, I got you the best non-urban, non-shore sales numbers in the whole new store edition program. But you're worried that I'm selling Garbage Pail Kid cards at 16%, even though we were number one, because a sales rep told me that we were number one in the Northeast. From Maine to I think Delaware or DC. We were the number one store in the Northeast. Because we were the only ones who sold them. And there's no LCS within 45 minutes. And I don't even know if Target or Walmart was in on the Garbage Pail Kid stuff. So, all these people who were buying 3 packs of cigarettes a day because we upsold them all. Yeah, well, if you buy 2 packs, you get a coupon. Okay, the coupon lowers your gross profit. You didn't throw the cigarettes in the back room, bitch. Yeah, it's just like atom bomb. All right, and I tell you this story because Walmart and Target, they're not making money off of those cards. They're not making money off of those cards. They're selling them at suggested retail price. If they're selling them for $19.99, so this is I'm not 100% sure that this is exactly how it works because I have not worked for Walmart, or I did work for Target for a short period of time when I was in college, and it was overnight. So I didn't know stuff about anything back then. But from my experience with vendor products in the supermarket, I do believe that those work based, some places call it a scan back, which means the vendor fills the shelf, but it doesn't count against you in inventory. So it's not going to mess up your numbers if you sell it and you don't. And it's a fully returnable product. So if it's still on the shelf, they take it back. The store may not even be responsible for shrink. The different contracts go different ways. All right. So that doesn't hit the ledger until it hits the scanner. So it's not such of a big deal, but they're probably paying $16.39 for a $19.99 blaster. And you're making 18% off of that. That's not certain departments in retail carry better GP numbers. All right. You're not, and okay, I'm going to give you another example in a area of markdown business. DVDs. So back in the day when DVDs were a little more prevalent, all right, when it was the thing, I used to buy the Sunday paper and look for the DVDs, all right? And yes, I would flip them. For a store to buy a DVD from Warner, from whatever, a brand new release was generally in the price range of $18-19. Suggested retail price is $24.99, but the stores are selling them at $19.99, and the first week of sales, they're selling them for $14.99. They are losing money right out the door. Why do they do it? Well, because if you could sell enough of them, then there would be checks worth millions of dollars getting written out to the company and saying, here you go, at the end of the year. and that was the deal. You don't return more than 10% back. All right. And I mean, some titles they'd sell out and do reorders. Other titles, I used to buy the liquidated CDs and movies. Sometimes I was always through a third party that had way more money than I did. They would buy stuff by the trailer load, and I would buy stuff like a pallet at a time. But there was a lot of hyped up value in because the disc only takes like 20 cents to make, but it was all the licensing and the rights and the this and the that and the royalties and all that's involved. But once they hit a certain point, then they're money. So all the stores would sell it $14.99, $15.99, even if they're paying somewhere in the neighborhood between $17 and $18.50 a piece, because they get that money back. So sometimes I would get coupons and stuff like that, and like rewards points for things and whatnot. So I would go and buy it with sales tax, because I would just write off the whole total. Obviously, I'd be paying like $15 and change, and I'd sell them for $17, $18. So I'm making like $2 a piece. But it's an impulse buy where I was selling it. All right, I had a real nice spot in some flea markets that I did, and it was just like, if you sold it the next week it went back up to regular price. And there's no more sales after the first week until there's a drop in the suggested retail price. And usually with movies, it would be from $24.99 down to $19.99, down to $14.99, down to $12.99, down to $9.99. CDs were similar, but they were usually a little cheaper. So CDs, I remember back in the day when they made a big deal about dropping the retail price down to $9.99 on a bunch of stuff. But usually it was $18.98 down to $14.99, down to $12, down to $9, down to $7.99, down to $4.99 for CDs. So you just had to, like, if I got a movie, I couldn't sell it the first week, but I'd sell it the second week. If I sell it the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, I'm good. After the sixth week, then it's allowed to be on pay-per-view, and that's usually when the suggested retail price dropped. And then if a movie got out to 90 days, that's when I could usually buy it out of liquidation, because then they would have up to 10% could be returned back on some movies. Depending on the movie, they could return a certain amount back and get credited for, I don't know if they just did a straight return or if they did an exchange out for other movies at that retail price. But, that's the way it works with the trading cards, except for people are harassing customers, all right, causing these long lines, taking the attention of staff members, right? I mean, in some stores, it's not even the minimum wage employee that's dealing with this. It's the managers are involved. Sometimes you have multiple managers involved. They're getting paid 40, 50, 60 plus a year. To deal with a 16% margin item, it's not worth it. That's why the Targets are cutting them, especially the Targets. The Walmarts put up with a lot more bullshit. But Panini's going to sell everything at market value, full market value, not their suggested retail price. They're going to sell it at full market value. Tops will sell it most of the time at suggested retail price. The only thing is technically Tops doesn't have a suggested retail price. All right? They have traditional prices. So when Tops sold Tribute on its website, now lately I'm a little, the one shady thing I don't like is there's no heads up. They don't tell you when they're putting it on the site anymore. All right? So you got to kind of, I'm curious if there's people that are in the know that are like, hey, we're going to put this out on the website. This one's going to be no limit. This one's going to be limit one. All right. But when Topps sold the hobby boxes, it was limit one box for Topps Series 1. And I'm pretty sure the hobby boxes were like $59.99. Or no, not $59.99. $79.99. That's it. $79.99. That's what they traditionally sold them for in the past. Now, they didn't sell a lot of them at that price. They were gone in 11 seconds. And most of them were probably picked up by bots. And with a limit of one, if you sold out in 11 seconds, I don't care how many people are buying. It's not a lot. Tribute, was like $400. Definitive was, again, that's a super high end product for them. They were selling those at $16.50. So that was like almost all the way to retail. But Topps, it's limit one. It was Montgomery Club exclusive. Topps Chrome Formula One Sapphire. All right. With overnight shipping cost me like $125. That is an $800+ box with the potential to go up into like the $1,500 range. I don't think it's going to go to $2,200 like the soccer did, the UEFA champions, but it's gonna be up there. It's gonna probably be like eventually like $1,000 to $1,500 a box, because you have Lewis Hamilton all over that product. All right. Topps has done a better job of keeping things within reach. They're still making more money, but they're not being pigs about it. All right. Sorry, Panini, but it's a bacon panini sometimes. Score Football going on sale tomorrow for like $300 a box plus tax plus shipping. And yet I'm getting 2 boxes from the distributor. And here's the thing with Panini. Panini's cutting the distributors too. It's a little different. Topps, again, this is all going based off of what I see visually. All right. So it's a lot of this is presumptive. But I feel like Topps is just producing a little bit extra and pushing that through the website. Panini, I feel like for years has had this hoarding system in place. And it's just finally, like, the market is so hot, it's really working out for them now. Because 2017-18 status basketball, I put in for a case. This was like right around the beginning of allocations. They would only give me 10 boxes. I do believe it was believed to be a hot product, and it kind of was a dud. Okay, kind of, no. It was a dud. Was. Now those boxes go for primo bucks. It was a total dud. So when I put in for my Panini package at the National, that you got to spend like tens of thousands of dollars so that you have the silver packs and you get to go to the party and you get the gold packs and it's all fun and games, right? I got 4 cases of status in each for years I was selling them at a loss. I sold them to one of the big guys, not directly, but through a middle person, to kind of work a deal out. I got paid way more money than I paid for them, and I was still only getting about 50% value when the transaction was done. But I was selling those boxes at a loss for about 3 years. A loss. I was selling them for what? 3 for $100. Does any of you remember that? 3 for $100. Those boxes cost me like 60 a piece. But the silver packs, the gold packs, I knew that my sell-through, I was still going to make money even though I was getting kicked into I just wasn't getting the benefits of the gold and silver packs at 100%. And that's the way the packages were designed. I don't even know if they'll give Panini packages out this year. If they do, there's definitely going to be a difference in the pricing on them. The 2016 Donruss Signatures football? Yeah, I had a few cases of those in there. I forget if they were 1 case or 2 case per package. Those were in there. That was the equivalent of oh God, what was that top set that had the 4 autos per box? I can't remember the name of it. That was a Dudsky too. But yeah, that was like its step cousin or something like that. Well, it's true. What was it? The basketball one, and that was a total dud initially. And I can't remember what they originally named it, but then they turned it into Vertex for football. Oh, Grand Reserve. That's what it was. Grand Reserve. And then they turned it into Vertex for football, and that kind of bombed. So then they turned it into Cornerstones and brought it back again as an exclusively basketball product. And then I think it went away and went back into Chronicles as like a main insert in that, and that's worked out well for it. Yeah, they've Panini is great with set design, with marketing, brilliant. I just don't appreciate the way that business is done affecting my business. I personally enjoy more breaking 3 cases of Prism and, buying them for 120 and selling them for 200 than getting 2 boxes and having to fight tooth and nail to get $1,200 for it just to keep the lights on in the house and gasoline in the tank. But it's business. And again, you got, they got certain liberty to do what they want. It's their business. It's not a monopoly because there's other trading card companies. There's other ways for the trading cards to come out. But they're the official NFL licensee. And with that comes a huge expense. And if the NFL sees them making money off of it, well, then they're going to charge them more too. So then they got to get creative. But if they can make the license worth happening and keep people engaged, and then our cards are worth more money, then what do we have to complain about? There's a balance, and I think some things are out of balance, but I think some things are also over dramatized. I just wish that for all the years that I, rebought cases at market value when the market values were much lower and reasonable. All right. All the years that I supported doing business with the distributors when the market wasn't as hot, to get slapped in the face, I got my allocations for luminance today. 2 boxes. Thanks. I appreciate that. Remind me again when box prices take a tumble and you had been buying at $600 a box what was going for $1,000. All right. If that day comes where they're going for like 400 and you got to take a loss on it, expect me to go in there and say, "Oh, I'll buy a ton at 350." Because loyalty repays loyalty. Well, a lot of people's behavior is just awful in general, but it's a lack of ethics and morality in a large sector of the population. But I'm not even going to go into that. All right. Anyways. I don't know. We didn't sell any more football boxes. But this would have made an excellent podcast. Well, if I'm buying it from them for $350, I still got to sell it for $4 something. You know that, right? Well, I got to make my 22% off of it. That's what it used to be, the margins. You used to buy it. The suggested retail price was between 22 and 28% higher. Blowout would actually come down below the suggested retail price, and I would match it. And I would free ship. Now it's a totally different ball game. Yeah, some of that's exaggerated. Again, Prism, Select, Chronicles, I think those boxes cost like $1 something. But they gave me 2. So what the hell's that going to do? I'm not, you got 4 products come out in a week and you can't even get enough boxes to draw a week's salary off of it. That's a problem. It's a big problem. Then you get a heavy week come up and you can't even... You're like borrowing from Peter, Paul, and Mary to pay for the big price tag that you just got yourself set up for 6 months in advance. And until you can sell it off, you're sucking wind. I need to sell off another case of Bowman like this. So do I put it in a break? Or if it's taking 2 weeks to sell a case of Bowman in a break, do I just give up and sell it to, somebody looking to buy Bowman boxes? Or do I stick it in my garage knowing that they came out strong at $350, now they're trying to lower the buy rate so that they can stock up on it, and so they're selling them for $280 right now, knowing full well that they're going to be $500 6 months from now when the season's over and you have your minor league players of the year for the systems and whatnot. Well, Jeremy, I do got to say this, though, as far as the top Chrome boxes. Okay? These were like 250 at one point. Now, if you get a PSA 9 Tatis, that's worth 250. Odds are pretty good of getting one base Tatis out of this box. That's why this box is up to $1,500. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face. It's not so much is the price too much, is the price more than what it's worth. If it costs $500 for a jumbo box of Chrome this year, that's probably a good deal. That's probably a good deal. Look at this rookie class. In no way, shape, or form is it humanly possible for the market to tumble that much in any short period of time where it would not be worth it to do that. It's not based on the highest graded value, but you have to consider what the odds are. All right. Remember, these are technically most of the time supposed to be a loss, right? Any box of cards that you buy. If it were that easy that you could buy a box of cards and then sell the cards inside of it for more money over and over again, this is why the market failed in the 90s. Because you could open up a box of Topps that you paid, if you bought them straight from Topps, you were paying like $10 for them, plus shipping, right? And you pulled out a Robin Ventura and you could sell it for $3. Oh, and then you get a Gary Sheffield and you'll get $2. Then people realize, all I got to do is just keep opening boxes, sell the cards, and I'm good. And it's not sustainable that way. The price of tea eventually has to go up. All right. Now, in contrast to that time period, though, all right, so we'll go back to this example. So now the PSA 9 Tatis is worth what the original suggested retail price of this was. All right? And that shouldn't be too hard to find. So we jack it up to $1,500. We can't say that we're basing that off the price of a PSA 10 Tatis. It's still more than that. But still. What if you get a Tatis auto that's a PSA 10? Or what if you get a gold refractor? You're talking about you're still able to get a card worth 5 figures out of a box for $1,400. That's actually market sustainable. The issue is when you have other sets that aren't market sustainable, where you're pulling the best card you're going to pull, the top player numbered to 50 is $300. And you're paying $450 for the box. That's what happened to some of these football sets. I ain't going to sugarcoat that. That's why I never bought tons of football stuff. That's why if I restocked, I bought baseball. Well, you said it yourself. They have 1,982 variations of a card. So that means there's that many one-of-ones and numbered to 50 of the star players. And we know that each variation is different, so it's still going to carry the value. Dude, I hit an orange Pete Alonso in the same case that I hit a Base refractor, Vlad Jr., and I hit something else decent, and that was one case. Yeah, but if you have one person that wants all 1,982 variations, guess what? You have a market. If you have one person competing against somebody else to buy it, then you have demand exceeding supply. I don't want to call it a lottery, because in a lottery, it's a $50 ticket is always a $50 ticket. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lottery. Because you could have a card that's worth in 2021 worth $1, worth $5. You got your ass handed to you. And you throw those cards in a box, and 4 years later, oh, this card goes for a lot of money. I've got cards from the store. I have not been able to touch that stuff in 6 years. There's Mookie Betts rookies. There's Christian Yelich rookies. There's variations, the red sparkly ones and stuff like that. There are, like, I don't even know what's in there. Those cards were worth $1 then. Now they're worth, 50, 75, 80, 100. Raw. Grade them. They're 150, 200. So no, it's not a lottery. There's a checklist. There's a pecking order. There's a way that things come out. So it's different. You don't even need to grade them. I just told you a card that I had that in my store, I probably had 15 of them, and I sold 3 of them for $1, and I got 12 of them sitting that are worth $50. Correct. And the winning tickets are a set prize. This is not a set prize. If you win this, it could be $2 one day. Then he rushes for 2,000 yards in a season, and it's going to be $80. And then the guy blows out his knee, and it's going to be $2 again. Not a fixed prize. Totally different. There you go. I wonder if any of my Mookies are 10s. I don't know. When I eventually get a store, here's the thing though, how am I going to get a store now that everything that they used to give me a case of, or a case and a half, or 2 cases of, they're giving me 2 boxes now. Now I'm like, I get a store, am I going to be able to pay the rent? We have a crazy dictator governor who doesn't follow scientific data and crushes small businesses. I'm not going to open a shop this second. I'm not going to go out there tomorrow and be like, yeah, that one looks nice. It's not the lottery that you need to focus on. It's the thrill. It's the thrill of a chase. That's why they call them chase cards. It's not the lottery. It's the chase. And that's the thing. People complain about everything being so much more expensive when it's also raised the value of everything that they've kept over the last, 10, 20 years. Okay, Tony Gwynn is great, one of the greatest hitters of all time, maybe the greatest pure hitter of all time. He's a Hall of Famer. What his rookie card going for? Less than Mookie Betts. You think Mookie Betts is better than Tony Gwynn? He hasn't gotten there yet, right? Yeah, I remember those hoop boxes. I could get them for like $5 a piece at the flea market. I remember getting stuff like that at KB Toy Store. They would take the packs and they would slash the price on them down to like 10 cents a piece. Yeah, man. Hey, Albert Pujols is a Hall of Fame player, but he hasn't done jack in like 8 or 9 years. I remember, and I wish I still had these. The WCW Impel cards. When they clearanced those, it was like $1 a box. I was in heaven. Get a whole box of WCW. I must have bought like 20 boxes of that stuff, and I had made sets, built sets, and like, I mean, it was awesome, man. And those cards actually have a little bit of value now. They weren't quite as mass produced as everything else, but I was a huge WCW guy. Not everybody was. I should probably go to bed. I got work to do tomorrow. And see, the sad part is, like a couple years ago, there would still be 15, 20 people sticking around watching us right now. Not 3. That's my frustration. Yeah, but the ride stops and then it's going to start again. It's the problem is when the ride breaks down completely, comes off the bolts, and the Ferris wheel starts rolling down the street, and that's what happened in the late 90s, early 2000s. And there are fail safes in place that's not going to, just like the stock market. All right, you will not see a stock market fall like you did during the Great Depression, because the stock market is a totally different animal now than it was back then. Now you have people who buy pension or who have pensions, right? They buy groups of stock in retirement plans. All right, there is so much tied in, so much regular people money tied into the stock market. It's not just a play toy for the rich. Everybody has money in the stock market, whether they think about it that way or not. Your 401k, all that money is tied in somewhere. I don't think the drop's going to be as brutal as you think. You can only hope so that you can buy more, but It's a totally different animal. There's too many things in place. I mean, the bottom line is there's too many people with money that are dedicated to the hobby. The celebrities that have spent millions of dollars on this and that, the people who have bought, the successful hedge fund owners and businessmen. There is too much big money tied into it that it's going to completely implode. And again, that's why I'm not as concerned about signs as Target as so many are on Facebook. Cards are only worth what a seller and a buyer agree upon. That is always the value of a card. You can use comparables, but that's always the value of a card. And there are certain cards people are more than willing to overpay for, and there are other cards that don't have a chance of equaling what has been seen on a shill bidded eBay comp or anything like that. The problem is that in order to get rid of the stuff that they've already gotten, they've got to unload that first. Otherwise, they're invested in it. And nobody buys it. Nobody goes and spends millions of dollars on something thinking that it's going to tank. But here's the thing. You have your perspective. You have your budget that you work on. You have your cards that you like. You have your brands that you like. All right? You have your teams that you like. And you've been breaking with me long enough. I know what all of those are. I know that you have prejudices against certain things. I've said some things about Panini that I have a direct relation to and an open viewpoint. You don't like Panini. You don't buy Panini. You could care less about Panini. So you're not as invested in it. So you're going to say, well, the whole thing can come down. Well, it could, but realistically, it's not going to. Objectively, there's some things wrong that need to be corrected. There will be corrections in the markets for certain things. But, now here's a big but. Those 10 million cards come off a backlog on PSA, right? Whatever the number is. And they flood the market. Do they make values go down? Or does the availability of this stuff make interest go up? Because remember, different grading speeds come with different prices. Price increases started after a certain point. Somebody gets a card back that's been sitting around for a year that they paid a $25 grading service for. All right? And they sell it for less money than the last comp. Does that mean the value of the card went down? Or does that just mean now that you don't have to pay for the $300 express that somebody else put on it? That doesn't make the market value of the card go down. All right? That makes the sale price go down. The guy's still going to make bank on it. And all these Topps base flagship rookies that are probably going to be pouring in PSA 9 and 10, guess what? Nobody paid $300 rating services for those. Nobody. Luis Robert's going to go down because he got injured. He's out for 16 weeks. Some of the other guys, well, Dustin May's hurt too. But some of the other guys, those cards aren't available because nobody would have paid the money to express them. They're still stuck back in a $10 bulk order from a year ago. So the values of those are actually going to be fine. And again, hype and performance in sports cards. Still better than crypto in my book. Buy on the dip. The guy's hurt. Crush it. They were going for $50 a piece. Crush it at 10. The guy's hurt. Okay. When he goes back up to 50, cash out. Or does he go up to 300 or 600 because he becomes a Hall of Famer? You'll agree on the one aspect, but you kind of ignore the other principles that you got to look at. Again, if you're this is the problem with the people posting the Target signs. This is the problem with the people saying save it for the kids. This is the problem with the people that say these lines, people waiting for cards is ridiculous. Get a job. I mean, they are plentiful and available, but they're making more money collecting unemployment than standing in line in Target. So you may not agree with it, but there's got to be a part of you that says, can you blame them? Especially if this is easier. So you got all that, right? There's no objectivity. People are just, the only thing people are saying is, I can't get my $19.98 box. And I'm mad about it. And I'm going to post something that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. I don't think Luka rookies are going to get hurt too much because I still think that there's demand. And let's be honest here, all right? Let's be brutally honest. Because I'm priced out of a lot of things too. All right? I had to pay for 4 cases of Onyx football. I don't have side money to burn on cards. Although I totally ripped the hell out of that Hybrid Chronicles. I said from the beginning that those Prism boxes were overpriced. I said there's not enough in there to make that feasible. I priced them at like $1,400 to $1,500 current market value. But that's because if you pulled a LaMelo, silver, graded at PSA 10, you still weren't going to get your money back on the box. So what the heck's the point? So, and this is where Breaker does random teams. Now everybody for, I don't know, $75 has a spot, has a spot that has a chance, a very slight chance in hell, to pull the silver lamello that could get the PSA 10, that could get 1500. All right, that's that's not set by the breakers as much as everybody wants to blame us for it. I mean, it ain't me because I don't do random that much, but the distributor knows that people will pay that. The manufacturer knows that people will pay that. The big websites know that people will pay that. And so that's their, if you notice, they're reaching on some products, especially basketball and football. They're reaching to the moon. And then if they don't have good pre-sales, then they'll lower it. They don't have anything to lose. And see right here, I don't get any basketball anymore. They don't give it to me. But you did it. And you got the lucky spot. And I don't know how many times you did it. If you did it 30 times and you got the lucky spot once, then you don't end up really being a winner in the end. If you did it 10 times and you got the lucky spot once, then you did. And you had a 1 in 3 chance. So to you, it was still worth it. So to Panini, it was still worth it to prices the box at $2,000 on release day. It was worth it for Blowout to try $2,500 pre-release. Yeah, but there are people out there that can afford the spacesuit. And if there's a bunch of people out there that can afford the spacesuit, then there's a VIP party on the moon, dude. And that's what we're getting at here. Retail doesn't dictate the show. I got a box of it sitting right here. I put it in a break, random team break. We didn't move anything. Anyways, I've been on for quite a while. So not that I want to stop the conversation or anything. But I really do need to go to bed because I gotta get up and I gotta get to work and ship out some stuff. I know somebody who got a whole case of NT, ripped it, and not one true RPA. He ripped one first off the line box and got a Herbert. It's just the way it goes sometimes. That Herbert is going to pay for a lot when I think he sold it for like an obscene amount. If he sold it. I know the offer that he turned down for it. Because he knew he could get more. So that's just the way it goes. It's always going to be about law of averages. And how is that different from any other thing in life? You go to a new job, they offer you more money. Then they tell you a month later that your department's getting shut down. And your old job didn't like the fact that they left, so they're not going to hire you again. Justin Herbert could go out there and win the MVP next year. And then whatever people are paying for it now is going to seem like peanuts. All right? You're going to make decisions, and sometimes on paper everything's going to be all right, and other times you're going to make decisions and you're going to look back at it and say, man, that was pretty stupid. But you nor I would buy a Justin Herbert card for $100,000. Not because we didn't feel like it was worth or not worth the investment. We just don't have $100,000. Yeah, I had them both too. I had a lot of Van Poppels. I had a lot of Chipper Jones. You know why? Because those cards were mass produced to the hilt. So you're buying the same packs over and over again. So if you bought a lot of cards, you were going to have a lot of Kevin Moss, a lot of Todd Van Poppel. I was smart. I traded all my Van Poppels at like $3 values a piece. I think I got Paul Wilson's and Jason Isringhausen's back for them. Oh. Yeah, the ones that are spending money on sports cards, though, they have an interest in sports. It's not the same as I'm going to abandon this stock portfolio because I want to switch over to this one. Or I've grown tired of buying Porsches to drive in the springtime. I've gone green and I want to buy Tesla. That is 1,000,000% wrong. Jose Abreu cards are probably worth more now than they were when they first came out. Jose Abreu has always been way undervalued because he was older when he came into the major leagues. So people did not see him as a legitimate Hall of Fame type player, and his demand went up based off of the MVP award. Jose Abreu cards always underperformed what they should have been. Chris Bryant went down because people thought he was going to be a Hall of Famer, and now they're thinking he's just going to be a really good player with a good career. And that doesn't mean crap when he retires. I don't even know what card you're talking about, Abreu, that's $5 or $6 grand. Chris Bryant, yes. Jose Abreu autographs have always been um, hobby slated. I've talked about that for years, that his stuff usually was undervalued because of it. Because he came in as a 28-year-old rookie or whatever it was, 27. Anyways, I really do have to go to bed. So as much as I hate to cut the conversation where it's at, I think we've had a good lengthy one. Well, that's why I design my breaks the way I do. I don't like doing cookie cutter stuff because cookie cutter stuff only gets you cookie cutter results. When I do a mixer, I'm looking to spread the love around as much as possible. Probably is worth more now that he's won an MVP award, yeah. Even if it was a shortened season, it was a good one. There's a lot of math and a lot of product research that goes into, I want as few people to lose as possible. Because I know if people stick to certain habits over and over again, and they're in enough of the breaks that are designed like that, eventually they're going to make out as well as one could expect, buying as if they bought a box and just got all the stuff that they wanted. And you're going to have guys hit those big cards. We've hit 5-figure cards. All right? We've hit 4-figure cards a lot more frequently this past year than I think in any other year. A lot of them were Justin Herberts. But when I try to design stuff, I try to design it so that we got as many happy, satisfied people as possible. And people are going to go through a streak of bad luck, and they're going to go through a streak of good luck. And law of averages says that because of the way I do the numbers, then you should be happy with the end result. And you know how sure of that I am, how steadfastly I back that, is that I end up taking the teams that people don't, and I still got a banging inventory. Law of averages. Everything in the boxes that I have, right, with loose singles, all the misses, law of averages. And I'm one of the few guys who backs the mathematical logic behind my prices so much that I will take the leftovers. I don't want to call them sloppy seconds because nobody had them first, but I take the leftovers and I do pretty good. And if anybody wants to buy a $400 Acuna out of Tribute, I got one. And I had a $300 one in the same box. Nobody bought the Braves that break. Law of averages. I got killed later on an Optic football box. Law of averages. But I got a nice Chronicles hybrid box. I'm very happy with this box. I'm gonna have to look up some of these cards and see if they're worth top loading. I don't know, but I definitely got some good stuff out of there. Anyways, good night.